today I'm actually going to do a little bit of a catch-up. I'm going to try on some products that I've already reviewed, but I'm getting ready to do a speed review, so I want to try them on again. So I'm not going to talk too much about the makeup. I will cover it in an upcoming speed review. I'm also going to talk a little bit about things that I have never done in my life that most people have done. And I thought it'd be fun to start a little conversation below in the comments because I'm just curious to know, am I the only one who's never done this? First off, let me catch you guys up. Christmas was kind of a whirlwind for us, not in a good way. Right before Christmas, my husband got sick, just with like a cold. So he was sick over Christmas. We had a bunch of people here. Immediately after Christmas, I got sick and I thought I was just getting a cold. It ended up being COVID. I could just tell this was not a normal cold kind of thing. And then I took a shower and I couldn't smell the stuff I was putting on my body. I couldn't smell it at all, and it's got a relatively strong smell. So I was pretty positive I had it even before I tested. Doug got sick. We had the holiday in there. And then right a couple days before New Year's, I came down with sick. So I was sick for a week and pretty much did nothing for a week. And then this past weekend, my daughter, Rachel, moved out. That was hard. She moved to an apartment. It's totally normal. I get it. And I'm going to go into it a little bit more in my next vlog because I do talk about it a bit. I did not vlog her move or show where she's moving or anything like that, just for privacy's sake. So that's been hard. That was this past weekend, and it took 3 days to move her out. She has a lot of stuff, my daughter. My daughter and I are very different in shopping and minimalism and things like that. Very different. It's been kind of a crazy past 2.5 to 3 weeks, so I haven't posted anything and I haven't really felt up to posting. I'm still dealing with some of the sickness, so bear with me. If I sniffle, I will try not to sniffle. In case you're wondering, I just used the Revolution Skin Silk, yes, Luminous Serum. It kind of surprises me this says Luminous. Like, I would not call that very luminous. I would call that more like a satin finish. So yeah, I don't normally like luminous. So that's in a nutshell where I've been these last couple weeks. Let's talk about things I have never done that I think most people have done. And some of these might surprise you. Okay, I gotta tell you, I actually made this list with my husband sitting in a restaurant. In the restaurant, right next to it is the bar, and it was full of people eating and obviously drinking, but there were people having full meals there. And I said to him, you know, I have never done that. I have never sat at a restaurant bar and eaten a meal. Never. And he's like, yeah, I never have either. And I'm like, why haven't we? And I think a lot of it is, I think a lot of time travelers do it. They're traveling and they don't want to sit at a table. It feels kind of lonely to just sit at this table. So they sit at the bar. Or if you're just eating alone, maybe it's just more comforting to sit at a bar where you've got something to look at. I don't know. Maybe people just like it. So have y'all done that? Excuse me, I have to blow my nose. I hate blowing my nose when I'm doing makeup because then I just take it right off my face. Yep, I've never done that. I know, not that exciting, but I just thought that's an interesting thing I've never done. Okay, these next couple things are transportation. Getting from point A to point B in different forms of transportation. So I've never ridden in a limo. Even our wedding, we were on a shoestring budget for our wedding, and my husband and I paid for our wedding completely ourselves. And we didn't want to spend the money on a limo, so we just didn't do that. So I've never ridden a limo. My husband said he had, but only like, I think it was his father's funeral he did. So yeah, I've never ridden in a limo. Also, I've never ridden in a convertible. To me, that one's an odd one. at least in the United States, a lot of people have ridden in convertibles and stuff, but I've never ridden in a convertible. I've wanted to, and the practicality in me is like just kind of trumps anything. Like when Rachel and I, my daughter Rachel and I went to California, we considered renting a limo, not a limo, oh my heart, renting a convertible to ride around California, because how fun is that? But the conservative in me of wanting to not spend that much money on a rental kicked in and I didn't do it. So, and we were fine. But I think it would have been fun. I think that should be on my bucket list. Don't you guys think that should be on my bucket list? I could kind of give a rip about a limo, but a convertible would be fun. Okay, another form of transportation. And this one, I think I'm not completely alone on this one. I think a lot of people have done. I've never been in a helicopter. My husband's like, even when I was in Hawaii with my cousin, and he's like, didn't you ride in a helicopter then? And I'm like, no, it was really expensive and we just didn't want to spend the money. So no, I've never ridden in a helicopter. Have y'all done that? In some ways it makes me scared. I'm very afraid of heights, but I think I'd still do it. I mean, I've never ridden in a hot air balloon, but I did include that in the list because I think a lot of people have never ridden in a hot air balloon. But, and maybe a lot haven't ridden in a helicopter either. I don't know. Okay, I know this next one is going to be an odd one for some of you, and for some of you, you're gonna be like, yeah, me neither. But I've never been drunk. Never. Some of that is my upbringing. I grew up with parents who did not believe in drinking at all. Like all forms of alcohol were completely wrong. I do not believe that now. I will have a drink periodically. But I do believe, for me as a Christian, it is wrong for me to be drunk because the Bible is very clear on that. There is a Bible verse that actually says, do not be drunk with wine. I take the Bible as it is, and I believe what it says. So I've never been drunk. Some of it helps that I don't like the feeling. Even when I really wasn't following the Lord completely and really not living my life to honor God, I still wasn't really interested in being drunk. I just don't like the feeling of being out of control, and even a buzzed feeling I don't like. So that does help. I get that. But now I believe it's wrong for me. I'm not, no judgment to anybody else. Please do not read that as judgment to someone else. For me, it's just something I don't believe in. Okay, I'm looking at a list over here. That's why I keep looking over here. All right. I've never lived completely alone. Now, maybe a lot of people haven't. I don't know. I have lived in many different places. Once I graduated from high school and went off to college, I never lived home again. But I never lived completely alone. Every place that I went, it included room and board, obviously college. We had a roommate, but I lived in Cape May, New Jersey for a while. I lived in Colorado for a while. I lived in North Jersey for a long time, and then I got married, and all of those places were living with people. So I've never lived alone, and I'm okay with that. Like, that doesn't bother me, but I think most people at one point in their life, maybe I'm wrong, you guys can tell me. Am I wrong? Like, have you all lived, you've always lived with people? Or I think in the United States, that's a very typical thing to do. You go live alone before you get married at some point in your life. I don't know, but yeah, that's just something I've never done. Okay, this one's gonna make you laugh. When I lived with my parents, when I lived with my parents, we lived in upstate New York, in Ithaca, New York, where Cornell University is. My dad was a pastor at the time, and so I went to the public school. When I got my final, records that you would send to a college or something, I didn't look at them because I knew what I had taken, and I knew I had passed, and I knew I had graduated and whatever. So I don't know why, but like a year later, I think, oh, I know, I went to a 4-year college for 1 year and then took some time off. And then I went back to school, but I went to a community college while I was working. And I think I needed to send them my transcripts. And I happened to pull out the paper. I never took any foreign language. Like it never was put onto my schedule. I never did it. And when I looked at my transcript, it said I had taken Spanish and I got an 80 in it. So my thinking is this. My thinking is the school made a mistake. They were supposed to schedule me to be in Spanish, and they never did it. And I think that it went to like doing the transcripts and stuff, and they're like, oops. And they just gave me a grade. So my family all jokes with me and says, oh, so you actually aren't graduated from high school. You never graduated. I'm like, no, I did. But yeah, I never took Spanish. And they gave me an 80. Isn't that sad? That's sad about the school system that happened. But I'm using Jouer, their hydrating one that people rave about. I don't know. I was also using, where is it? This dermatology. My heart. It's not spelled dermatology, but it's dermatology. And it's their concealer, Luminous Eye Corrector SPF 41. I don't know if I like this either. So yeah, I never took Spanish, and I know most people have, because in the United States, I don't know if it's across the board, but I know that the school I worked at, everybody had to take 2 years of Spanish. So clearly my school screwed up. But I got an 80, yay! Which really isn't that great of a grade. I think that would have been a C, but so I think they were like, let's give her a C. We can't give her a good grade because she never took it, but we'll let her pass. I have never done Uber Eats or any one of those meal things. Oh, I can't even think of them. I've never done any of them. Again, I think it's the conservative in me, financial conservatism, is that what it's called? That we just don't think that should ever be an option because it costs so much more. I know both of my kids have done it several times. They pay for it themselves. And I'm always like, okay, why would you do that? Just somebody go get it. Like, I can understand if you're extremely sick. I can understand people who are in their homes, like they can't get out. And again, no judgment if you do this, like, please feel free to do it. It's just something that we have never thought should be an option because it costs so much more, and we're very conservative with how we spend our money. But again, no judgment. Any of these, no judgment if you've done it and haven't done it or whatever. Like, I just think it's an interesting thing. Okay, this I think most people, not most, but I think it might be like 50-50. But I've never eaten caviar, probably because it's never been offered to me. It's never been something, at least I don't think so. Maybe it has, and I just was like, I would never, I don't think I'd be interested in eating it. Have y'all eaten caviar? Do you like it? Like, it's supposed to be this bougie, like, rich people thing to do, and I'm not a rich person, so maybe that's why. But it's never, just like fish eggs. No, no. But have you all done that? Do you like it? Tell me. Honestly, I'm interested in knowing. Like, is this something that I am missing out? Like, what's the one that everyone, Boogala? No. There's a kind, y'all are yelling at the screen right now going, I don't remember the name of it. But there's this one kind that I think people are like, you know, if you're going to get caviar, get this one. Does that make sense? Okay. Oh, trying this Fireworks again. I haven't tried it in quite a while, and so I don't remember. I remember not thinking it was great. Those are the things I could think of What are some things, you guys comment below, what are some things that you feel like most people have done but you haven't done? Oh, I remember, this is really clumpy. Yep, I've decided I don't like this. Okay, but there are a few things that I have done that I think most people probably haven't done. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of you have done this and you're like, well, yeah, I know a zillion people have done that. Things that I have done. I have done public speaking, and I actually like public speaking. And you might think, well, of course, you're on YouTube. But remember, I'm in a room by myself talking to a camera. There's nobody in here. There's no public speaking. I can edit out things that I don't like. I can say it again, all that stuff. All the things that make public speaking scary, I do not do on my YouTube channel. But I have spoken in a few times in large scale settings, like 800 people or more. And I actually like it. As long as I know my subject really well, it's something I'm passionate about, then that's fun to me. If I don't know what I'm doing, that's not fun to me. Public speaking is something that I think most people shy away from, and they're like, no, thank you. And I'm like, yeah, that's interesting to me. Oh yeah, I remember this now. This is that Dibs. I feel like I just did that video, but I remember it looking kind of orange, and yep, it still looks orange. But I had to do it again. I couldn't remember. Okay, so public speaking. I will say that when I do public speaking, do I get nervous? Of course I get nervous. And I'm very nervous the minute I'm about to walk out onto the stage. And then once I'm out onto the stage and I start speaking, the nerves start diminishing, and I get on a roll, and I'm good. I like it. It's fun. But right before, no, I'm very nervous, shaking nervous, like most people. I know that I'm weird on that one. Like, I know that most people are like, nope, I would rather get my toenails pulled out than stand up in front of on a stage and speak to people in public. I get that. Okay, haha. Most people have not started a YouTube channel, especially my age. I've started a YouTube channel, obviously. This is something that I'm 99.9% sure that none of you have had happen to you or done, but I've been lifted by a tornado. So I grew up outside of Chicago in a town called Winfield. Illinois is known for tornadoes. It's very flat, so it's very easy to get a tornado going. I was a little girl, and my dad, he was a pastor, and the church was within walking distance to our home. And so he loved to walk to church, to work every day. He would go to the church every day. And he had just told my mom, or called my mom and said, I'm walking home. And he was probably halfway home, and the sirens in Illinois, if there's a tornado spotted, like they call it a tornado warning, means a tornado has been spotted, get into shelter. Then the alarms, the sirens will go off. And the siren went off, and I was outside playing. I don't remember how old I was, but my mom yelled, she's like, we gotta go get Daddy. So she grabbed my hand, and the wind was just starting. Now, I don't think we saw the tornado. I think we just had the effects of the tornado. She came around the house, and all of a sudden her hand was up in the air, and she was pulling me down. And I was little, so I was a little girl. Obviously weighed a lot less. And she's like, okay, we got to get into shelter. And I don't remember if we went and got my dad or if we went inside. I don't remember that part. I just know I was lifted by a tornado. So yeah, there's something I don't think most people have had happen in their lives. And I live to tell it. The last thing that I think I've done that most people have probably not done is I've met several famous people. It's so funny because I kind of don't care about famous people, but yet it was an interesting part of my life when I worked at the school. Okay, how do you talk? You can't talk with and put lip liner on. So when I worked at the school, I was the event planner for large events. I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. And we would bring in famous people for a fundraiser. I've met some pretty famous people because of it. Remember, it's a small Christian conservative school. So I've met Sarah Palin, Ben Carson, Kirk Cameron, Carson Wentz when it was his rookie year as a quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Tim Tebow, he was on the Philadelphia Eagles. Bethany Hamilton. And I would get pictures with all of these people. Most of them, I got pictures of them. Not myself, but it was my group of volunteers. The only one I didn't that I completely regret, because hello, it's a president, was President Bush. I'm busy during this time because I'm working. So there's not really time, and I'm just so like, Bobby, it was a US president. Why did you not go and just say, I am going to go get a picture? That's the only one that really I regret. That's something that I've done that's kind of fun. That was part of my job. Even though it was like, smile, here's the famous person, smile. Okay, now I gotta go do my job. Like, it really was that. It wasn't very glamorous at all. Okay, if you're wondering, my lip liner was Essence 8 Hour Matte in the color Cinnamon Spice. My lip color is Laura Geller, and it is her Jelly Balm, and it's in the color, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to see this? A Lot of Love. I will be sure to link all the makeup that I used, and please comment below. I'm so interested in seeing and reading your comments about things that maybe you've done that no one else has done, or if you think I'm crazy that I haven't done something. So if you love chatty get readies with me, I'm gonna link this one right here. This one was a fun one. I'll see you in that or another one. God bless and Happy New Year.